Hi, I'm Zach, and I quit smoking, weed, vaping nicotine, caffeine, and eating processed foods about 12 to 14 weeks ago. And the past week, for whatever reason, has been much harder than I thought it would be. I figured that a lot of the withdrawals would have been gone by now. So I must say, there's a good chance that after the year is up that I said I would make it, if I'm still feeling like this, as far as cravings, irritability, anger, depression, and emptiness, like I can't enjoy things as much as I could whenever I was smoking, and I'm just missing the feeling of the high from weed. If I'm still feeling like this after a year, there's a very good possibility I will go back and start smoking again. But I'm staying very adamant on making it the entire year. And also, I'm going to do some things before I completely give up and start smoking again. Things like, mainly, I want to make sure I save up for a car. I want to make sure I save up and get out of debt for an old roommate that I owe money for and my old landlord, just to get that off my conscience, and so I can get an apartment and just save money for certain things so that can be behind me, and so I don't have to worry about it as much in my budgeting whenever I start buying weed and nicotine stuff again. And also, whenever I start back up, I'm going to try to consciously do it in a way. I'm going to try to grow my own tobacco, grow my own weed, and do it in a way to where I save more money and I'm not spending as much money, but there's still a very big likelihood that I'll fall back into old ways and just start unconsciously buying things. And I was able to save money, but just not as much money as I'm saving now, because all of my money is going towards savings. And another thing I'm going to do is Inner Engineering by Sadhguru, because Sadhguru and a lot of things that he's shown me through his videos and practices and the process of that has helped me out this far. It's helped me create the joy and the calmness and the sturdy foundation that I have now. And he said a line multiple times of, "Look at me, I'm stoned all the time and I've never touched a substance." And so he's given me hope that I don't need weed in my life, and that there's a way for me to be high and feel those sensations without weed. And so I'm not fully giving up on being high and being happy and joyful whenever I'm no longer smoking weed anymore. And so I have been doing Miracle of Mind meditation, the 7-minute one, twice a day now. I started off once a day every morning, and I started doing twice a day, like a month or two in. And it's been about 80 days straight, 88 or something. 88 days doing it once a day, and I can't remember how long I've been doing it twice a day. But basically, I've been doing that twice a day, and then I've been doing another meditation thing, and I've done the Upa or Isha Yoga, Upa Yoga, whatever. I've done it before in my life, and I've transformed myself that way. And so I've experimentally, existentially felt what it's like to actually give myself to these things and be transformed. But every single time, for whatever reason, this happened to me after I quit smoking, and I looked it up. I think it's called pause or something. It's, basically, whenever I smoked weed, it was a way for me to cope with like trauma and emotions and depression and anxiety. And I've done that since I was a teenager. Really, I've done it since I was 13. I think I quit for a year once before, and I quit for like a month or a couple months multiple times throughout the years. I'm 31 now, so I've been doing it for a large portion, my entire adult life basically. besides the brief times I quit, or maybe the one other time I quit for a year. I can't even really remember how long it was. I know it was months. It was months and months and months. It was more than 6 months, I'm pretty sure. But for whatever reason, I've had these prolonged withdrawals, it seems. And I've looked it up, and I'm pretty sure it's called pause. I forget what it stands for, but basically, I mean, my brain, I'm sure, has been damaged heavily since I started smoking at early adolescence. I started smoking at age 13, so that's damaged my brain. And then I've been a heavy smoker too. I mean, I started smoking on the weekends only. I used to spend my lunch money on weed. I would get $20 every single day. Or was it week? I can't remember. But I would spend all my lunch money on weed. And so that probably stunted my growth. And it messed with my brain. And also, I've been a heavy user for pretty much most of my life. And so that messes with the dopamine creation in my brain, or whatever. How my brain creates dopamine, how I get calm and deal with stress and deal with problems, has all been affected by this. And so I have the willpower and the discipline to quit it, as I have, and deal with these things whenever I feel driven enough to change my life. But whenever I do, it starts to become so overwhelming, all of the withdrawals and the fact that they don't go away, and it almost gets worse. It's like I get more depressed, I get more angrier, and then that kind of disheartens me, because every single time, for whatever reason, I set up these expectations of, oh yeah, as the time goes on, it'll get easier. And by the 6th month, I probably won't want to smoke weed at all. But then I'll hit a dark patch of time where I'm having heavy cravings and I'm feeling depressed and numb, and like the only thing that'll make me feel better is weed for whatever reason. And don't get me wrong, I've felt huge transformation from doing meditation, from eating right, from putting more exercise in my life. And I've felt times of blissfulness and euphoria just naturally, just from meditation and from being in a good state of mind, or whatever it is that makes me feel like that, just naturally being aligned with life. And even now, like even in these stressful moments, I can stop and start to just breathe and let go of my thoughts spiraling out of control. The logic of, oh my gosh, weed is the only thing that will make me feel better. And I can kind of start to feel better. But that seems to burn out. It's like my willpower to hold that state burns out, and I can't hold it and keep it obtained in my grasp. But that might just be all in my head. I probably do have that capability to hold it and keep it obtained in my grasp, because I also must say, every single time that I've cracked and I've gone back to smoking weed and nicotine, after that first initial couple of times of getting high, I basically go back to the baseline of where I'm at now, where I realize I didn't actually get to the root of the problem. I still feel like anxiety or certain depression, and I still feel like an emptiness inside of me, like I'm never actually fully getting everything I want out of life. And so weed doesn't seem to actually solve any of these problems that I'm having. And going back to it is just going to prolong the battle of me trying to get off of it. But at the same time, I'm conflicted, because every single time I go back to smoking weed, I do have a memory of like all this stress does seem to go away. It's like all these withdrawal symptoms, the headaches, the anger, depression, anxiety, all these things. It's like I remember every single time I start smoking again, I start to go back to just feeling like I can let all the weight off my shoulders and just be here and just relax and not have to worry about staying sober, and also the physical sensations of withdrawal and pause or whatever it is goes away. And I'm like, I start laughing at things a lot more again. I'm not like forcing out laughter and trying to just be naturally happy and force out joy. It's like I get to a natural state of joy, and it seems. And so I'm drawn to just having that easy way out and into joy, because I can get there through meditation, and I've done that, but it seems so much easier just to have weed. But there's also the physicality, the way it smells, it looks, like rolling it up, growing my own weed, certain things that it's like I'm attached to, or I like the idea of. It sounds fun to me. It's something that I like to do, or whenever I think about it, it makes me excited. It's like, yeah, that's fun. I'm looking forward to, I'm almost looking forward to a year from now still feeling this way, so I can justify going back to weed. And it's more than that. It's also like continually uploading on this YouTube channel and working on music and just being so driven and ambitious in life. I want to take a step back from that and just start playing video games again, and just start not caring so much about how much I get done in life, and just start escaping and coming home and being excited about getting high and playing video games and doing stuff that may not be as fulfilling, but it's like it's more stimulating. And it might just be in my head because of the fear of missing out, knowing that I'm going deeper than I've ever gone before, and not doing these unconscious brain dead things or whatever. And so my brain's saying, no, don't let go of that. Because I mean, some of my best memories throughout my life were of playing, like my most like euphoric memories were of playing video games and getting high. Like, for whatever reason. It's that, and also performing music and writing music. And then, of course, like family moments and father-son moments. Those are much stronger, or much more emotionally like dense, or however I should word it. So I have these desires inside of me that are burning, and it's been 2 months, almost 3 months basically, where I've quit all of these things. And so the withdrawals might still go down. I mean, I'm still giving myself a year to quit all these things, and I'm still going to do all the things I said I was going to do, like make sure I have a car, make sure I get paid the people back, and make sure I do inner engineering, and just really give myself completely to meditation. And also I'm writing a new series. It's like the deep lore of ZmanTheVegan. It's a whole superhero universe, and I'll be making episodes of that before I go back to smoking weed. Like the first series, there's going to be 7 series, each series having 7 chapters, like 7 episodes, so like 7 seasons with 7 episodes each one. And so I'm gonna make the first 1 to 3 at least before I start smoking. But at the same time, it's not like whenever I was smoking, I wasn't working on stuff. In fact, last time I quit smoking and then I came back to it, I remembered it was like a friction was lifted. It was like I was able to work on music easier at times. I was never one to just smoke and not work on stuff. I'd kind of get lost in working on stuff. I would smoke weed and then I would just work on music all the time. But I did mention that I've started to have the desire to not be so ambitious and start playing video games. And I do feel guilty about that, but it's a desire inside of me, and I haven't acted on it yet, and I don't plan on acting on it unless in 1 year I'm still like feeling this way and keep feeling this way. And also, like I said, I'm gonna fully give myself to trying to transform myself to where I don't need weed to be peaceful, to where I don't need weed or any substance to feel whole, and I don't need all this stimulation. This might just be all the pain and anguish inside of me that I've pushed down through the years, boiling up, and it's time for me to work on it and to transform it and to transform myself into the human being I want to be, which is why I'm not just giving up and saying, oh, this is hard. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to start smoking again. And I'm just going to throw away the 10 years of me chasing my dreams and ruining my life almost, becoming homeless and now living with my parents, just to start playing video games again and living with my parents while not working on anything besides working and saving up to move out, which I'll still do. Like, for the record, if I start playing video games and not uploading as frequently, I'm not going to give up on ZmanTheVegan. If in 1 year I start smoking and I start playing video games more, I'm just not going to upload as frequently, and I'm just not going to be as attached to the idea of being successful with music. I'll just upload whenever I create a song that I think is awesome, or whenever I feel like talking about something that actually means a whole lot to me, not just to keep a consistent upload schedule. And so I'm not going to give up on it. I'm not going to give up on the dream, but I can feel my energy and just my desires starting to shift in the direction of not being as ambitious. And like I said, I think that's because I'm starting to really transform myself, and I'm starting to really boil up all the emotions and past trauma that I never worked on. Because I used to push it down by smoking every single day, most days. Hey, guys, leave her alone, okay? I don't know what you think you're doing, kitty poo. I used to push all my emotions down. I don't want to say all of them. Like, even whenever I was smoking, I tried to deal with my emotions. I tried to face them. I tried to transform myself, but not as much as I am now, because it was easier. It was harder to actually see how I was feeling and all the past trauma and everything, and just look at it clearly whenever I had a foggy brain, and from smoking all the time. And also, my habits of waking up and first thing smoking, and then smoking throughout the day, and then smoking right before bed. Like, I was chasing a high to escape from this pain and to escape from the hard truth and escape from actually facing myself, because it's hard. That's my hypothesis. It's very hard to actually transform myself and actually come out of this as a human being who is joyful, who has transcended their trauma, and who is not held down by unconscious behavior chasing stimulation, drugs, sex, processed foods. The next high. It's quite difficult, especially smoking weed for me. The combination of weed and nicotine, and also caffeine now, since I've included that the past 10 years, but mainly weed. I've been smoking so much weed, it's messed up my brain chemistry, and it's got me to the point to where I feel like I need it to function and be happy, be joyful, and not have a constant headache and anger and But at the same time, whenever I get back to smoking weed, I also know it's like my energy goes down, and like I said, I was very adamant and very hardworking. Even whenever I smoked weed, I got stuff done, which is one big reason why I was able to justify it, saying, oh look, I'm still getting my to-do list done, I'm still doing all this stuff, I'm still overachieving. But now that I'm not smoking weed, I'm getting a whole bunch of extra stuff done, so I'm overachieving. But it's still not filling me up. I'm still not feeling fulfilled and whole in life. Completely. I have moments of feeling whole and fulfilled. I have moments of euphoria, but it seems to come back to me missing weed. I miss weed. And then working at a gas station and smelling people the gas station I work at is right next to a dispensary. So people will buy weed and then come in, and many of my coworkers smoke weed too. And like the other day, someone walked up who's a consistent customer there. He goes there almost every day, and he showed one of our coworkers a weed plant or weed plants, and it just like brought back memories of in high school whenever I grew weed, and it wasn't a successful grow, and it makes me want to do a successful grow, and it makes me want to grow my own tobacco, and like I don't know, there's just for some reason I want to go back to smoking. But then I do think of what like Sadhguru said, and how it's just stupid to smoke. That's the way he put it. He said it's not in his own words and my words, I'm paraphrasing, but basically you can get high on your own. This machine is an eco-friendly machine. It doesn't need to smoke. They're making electrical cars, but humans are already non-smoking. There's no exhaust in this machine naturally. And he also mentions cannabinoids inside of our brain, like our brain naturally creates them and creates the high. So I think I messed that up. Hey, leave her alone, dude. This cat is chasing the other cat. The male cat chases the female cat, tie-dye. I call her Kitty. If you watch my videos, you probably know who she is. They like messing with her for some reason. Anyway, smoking weed throughout the years so much has messed up my brain and how it creates cannabinoids and the natural high. And so I still have hope and faith that what Sadhguru is saying is true, and I've experienced it in like little slivers of it, it seems. I mean, I've experienced like feelings of euphoria and bliss and being high from meditation, just breathing and not being logically trapped in my brain and thought, just actually being here and experiencing life. It gives you a natural high. It does. And sometimes it feels very similar to weed high or even tire. But for whatever reason, I'm not able to keep it. And also, it just doesn't feel exactly the same as the weed high. And at the same time, I think Sadhguru says he's never smoked weed. So how does he truly know if he's missing out or not? I mean, just my skeptical brain thinks that. It's like he says, I've never touched a plant, but I'm stoned all the time. But how does he know what it feels like to actually be stoned compared to meditation and euphoria and bliss? Although, I mean, he's talked about having tears of joy and ecstasy and that type of energy. I mean, it makes sense to me that not smoking weed and just naturally meditating and getting to really deep states of consciousness, or however you want to put it, can be even more euphoric and a deeper, more fulfilling way of getting high that doesn't cost money, and it's not unhealthy, and doesn't throw out the chemistry in your brain. It doesn't make it all whack. It doesn't mess with your sleep, because weed can mess with your sleep. So that type of natural high can actually help with your well-being overall. Smoking weed the way I was to deal with anxiety and depression, and smoking it a lot, it has a lot of negative effects, and it costs money. So I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep striving to come to a state where I don't desire weed, to where I don't need it at all, to where I do find it completely stupid and ridiculous to do, because I can create the high on my own. But it's been really hard. And we'll see how I feel in 1 year after I do all the things I said I would do in engineering. And even if I start smoking again, it doesn't mean that I can't quit again, although it will be harder. I've heard it gets harder each year, each time you do it. Which is another reason why I want to stay sober, is because it's like, look, I already made it past the hardest part, like the first couple months. If I can just keep going for another couple months and just make it past the year, I don't think I've ever not smoked for an entire year. I think I did it for 1 year since I started smoking at 13. Like sometime around the age of 22, 23, 24, 25. I don't remember. No, it was 25 or 26. I don't remember. But somewhere around there, I quit for a year. Or almost a year. So if I can quit longer than that, like a year or 2 years, and then just see how I feel. Because maybe I just never made it through to the other side, where I actually do feel like my normal baseline, where I'm just naturally creating joy and no cravings and no weed withdrawals. Like, people always say that weed withdrawals aren't that bad, but I mean, everybody's different. And with intense marijuana abuse or use like I've had for years and years and years, since the age of 13, I think that it's probably much worse than other people. I mean, I'm experiencing it, and it really sucks. It's almost worse than the nicotine withdrawals at this point. I mean, at first, the nicotine withdrawals were much worse. It's much easier to quit the weed at first. But it's been 2 months, and I'm not really craving nicotine as much as I'm craving smoking weed for some reason. It's like, I feel like I could survive not smoking nicotine, but the weed, for whatever reason, I'm like, argh. But anyway, I shall keep trying. And I will keep trying to transform myself. Thanks for watching. For the animals! Woo!